Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another weekly Poker Showdown brought to you by Party Poker. I am your host, Jaime Staples, and today we have a double-header interview, actually. We have Alex Manzano on the podcast, who is the latest winner of the WPT World Online Championship, the Pot Limit Omaha event. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about the tournament last week, and his history in poker is really interesting. And second up is Brad Owen, a guy that I've admired for a long time. He's one of the biggest vloggers in the poker space, probably the biggest vlogger in the poker space. So he's got a huge following, plays live cash, but obviously right now he's playing not very much live cash. He's playing some online tournaments. So pleasure to talk with him. I think you're going to really enjoy the conversation. But before that, let's get to some of the online poker news from this week. Starting with the online poker news this week, we need to talk about the WPT World Online Championships because now that the Pot Limit Omaha events are over, we're moving into the No Limit Hold'em section of the schedule. The first No Limit Hold'em event just finished, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But there is over $150,000 in added value through the Mike Sexton Champions Cup events. Those are the events that have a $3 million guarantee plus. So this week was the 8 Max Championship. Couldn't get it done out there myself, you guys, but I get to report on the winners anyways, so I guess that counts for something. The 8 Max Championship was won by Gavin Robert Cochran for $540,000. He is the latest champion. This event, along with the 4 others coming up in the schedule, the 6 Max, I believe, the main event, the 1K mini main, and the knockout. Don't quote me on that. It's an easy way to find out 3 million and above. Editors, if I screwed it up, just put a little star up there. I think that's it. So for winning the 8 Max, $15,000 in added value to the next WPT Tournament of Champions presented by Baccarat Crystal. So there you go. An extra $5,000 in value will be added for all Tournament of Champion qualifying events as the winners' travel and accommodation will be paid for by Party Poker and WPT, which is great stuff. So the 320 8 Max, the smaller version of this tournament, was won by Daniel McCauley from the UK for $118,000, so a big congrats to him. That was a huge 320 event. And the 33 was won by Boris Angelov for $44,800. Love to play the championship event this past week. This week, though, coming up, we have 6 Max, which I think is going to be incredible. 3,200, 320, and 33. The 3,200, obviously the championship event, the one that can get you into the Tournament of Champions, etc. I just love 6 Max. 6 Max is action. It takes a little bit more attention, but you find yourself in spots where you get to play hands more often than the 8 Max equivalent. So I'm really looking forward to getting in there. I'm going to be playing on Saturday on my Twitch stream, PokerStaples.tv, and playing a bunch of satellites throughout the week as well. There's some great value in the satellites. I've been preaching that on my stream. The 320 satellites into the 3K are great. The 33s into the 320s, and then the $3 into the 33s. They're all really good value right now. So can't wait to play this week. But moving on now, let's talk about the WPT Shooting Stars for charity on Party Poker. We had a bunch of famous names come out to play. I saw a Love Island star, actually, Luke from Love Island. That's the only sort of pop culture in the UK that I've really adapted is I now watch Love Island. So anyways, $51,200 was raised for the charity in this WPT Shooting Stars tournament. Total prize pool for the tournament was $531,000, beating the guarantee. And all of the money is going to One Day Sooner, which is a charity that advocates on behalf of human trial challenges to speed up development of COVID-19 vaccine. Timu Kampfus finished in first place out of the 483 entrants, beating Nikita Kupchin to win $90,483. Kampfus had a very successful final table as he eliminated all of his last 5 opponents himself. That's not bad, man. That's not bad. I like that in a knockout a little bit more, but nonetheless, you got it done, and congratulations on the win. There's an added incentive for players, as whenever a shooting star player was knocked out, the player who eliminated them received a $500 bounty. Poker celebrities in the tournament was Darren Elias, Sam Trickett, Liv Paris. They were joined by star names including former Manchester United footballers Wes Brown, Darren Fletcher, Argentinian rapper Alejandro Papo MC Lococo. Whew. I just know him as Papo MC on Twitch, man. And Russian businessman Azim Kodsav. So thanks to everyone for playing that event for a good cause. I had a good time in there. Double bullet. I busted within about 10 minutes. All going for a good cause. Moving on to the industry news now. We talked a little bit about the Danny Negreanu and Doug Polk heads-up battle that's been talked about on social media. I gave my take last week in that I am Team Negreanu in this battle. I don't think Negreanu is the favorite. I don't think he's likely to win, but I want him to win. I don't like the way Doug goes after Daniel relentlessly. I think it's too much. I think Daniel deserves more respect. That's the summarized version. You can check out last week's podcast if you want more in-depth commentary on that from me. So this week we've got a little bit more data, some more information, some more conversation out there on social media about the event. So I'll loop you in if you're not aware. The pair have agreed to play 2 tables of 200, 400 heads up, no limit hold'em. So presumably this is going to be played online. I guess. Following an exchange between both players, Negreanu was banned for Twitch for ranting about a message that sent him off the deep end. This broke Twitch's terms of service in regards to hateful conduct. So I wouldn't really call it an exchange here either, though, because I think Doug kind of created a video, and Daniel responded from that after. But I was listening to their podcast, Daniel's podcast, Dat Poker Podcast this week. It's a great podcast, by the way. I'd love to be as successful as they are. They're really good at poker podcasting. And he says that one of the things that really annoys him is the media calling it an exchange. And I think that's fair. You know, Doug talked a lot about Daniel, and Daniel didn't really engage with Doug's content for a long time. So I don't mean to insinuate that they are equals in this fight. It was kind of like Doug poking from the side. See what I did there? And Daniel kind of just letting it slide. But he's now engaged, and he's agreed to do this heads-up battle. So after that video that Doug released, here we go. Both will live stream the match. Negreanu said he's willing to play between 10 and 25,000 hands. Negreanu also said he hasn't played heads up no limit for 10 years and wrote in a statement, "Regardless of the outcome, as long as I put in my best effort, I will find satisfaction in that. I've always believed in setting goals, but more importantly, focusing on the journey toward those goals." Polk claims to have not played poker seriously in more than a year. He said, "I'm willing to settle for half no limit and half a game of his choice. Also willing to settle for 4 down to 2 tables. I don't want a best of 7 match or whatever that is supposed to mean. I want a bunch of volume in against a weak opponent, so I'm just going to win." Those are fighting words. It's heating up. I'm looking forward to following this story. I mean, it's a bit of meaningless drama, really, but it's 2 superstars in the game of poker, and I'm excited to watch it. It's going to be fun. What do you guys think? Are you Team Negreanu, Team Polk? Tweet me. Let me know. Let's move on now to the Roll of Honor, some of the results coming in from this past week. WPT World Online Championship. A friend of mine, Sam Grafton, took first place in the WPT 8 Max warm-up, 500K guaranteed for just over 99,000. So big congrats to Sam. I hope to have him on the podcast here at some point in the next couple months. This is a little public pressure on Sam Grafton. Couple months, dude. No, he said he would do the podcast at some point. WPT 8 Max Micro Warm-Up, 50K guaranteed, was won by Fernando Henrique Oliveira for over 7,000, so congrats on that. And Christopher Hunichin, Big Huni, won the WPT 8 Max Turbo Knockout for over 19,000. Over onto the WSOP side now. Team Party Poker's Kristen Bicknell won her 3rd WSOP bracelet by finishing first in the 2,500 No Limit Hold'em 6-handed event. She cast for over 356,000. Huge congrats on the 3rd bracelet. And also, Darren Elias won the High Roller Blade prize for 5,000, beating Ali Imsarovic heads up to take a first place prize of $127,000. So that's it for the online poker news. Let's get to this conversation now with Alex Manzano, who won the Pot Limit Omaha event. One of the first champions of the series, the second championship event of the series, actually. So it was really interesting conversation with him. His story is great. Let's just get into the conversation. Joining me on the podcast today, I have Alex Manzano, who is the newest winner of the WPT World Online Championship Pot Limit Omaha event. Thanks for taking the time.
Sure. Hey.
So congratulations on the victory. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and your history in poker?
I started playing poker around 18 or 20 years ago. I obviously started playing like $1 or $2 sit and go, something like that, with my family or with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was at the university, and I didn't care much about what I was studying. I was pretty much interested only about poker. So I started from there, and it was rough at the beginning because I had like zero money with me, and my family didn't have like a good income at all. So just I can't remember exactly, but I used to get somehow like $15 probably from a friend or doing some kind of work or whatever, and grinded just from there. I remember playing in the Everest poker room. There was a free roll, the Shasta,
Right.
that it was like the first. It was limit to call them, and the first place was 5 cents, then 3 cents, then 2 cents. And I
That
remember
is
going to the
retro.
yeah, I
That's
remember
old
going to
school,
the
man.
to the university, and like I didn't enter any classroom. I went to the computer room and just played all day Shasta, and I made like I don't know $2 3, and then I grind like all the week, and I made like $15, and then I took them out and I just played live and something like that. So it was it was kind of rough, but well, that was like the beginning of my poker career, and then I just started studying more, and it was well, actually not studying like with solvers and something like that, but at that time I remember watching videos from car runners,
Mm.
and I don't remember exactly the other training site names, but I watched some videos and I started playing Heads Up Hold'em, um, and I had like a good grasp of the game.
Can you talk us a little bit through in the tournaments? You get to the final table, and you guys made a deal at the end. You and
Yeah.
Paresh Doshi made a deal. So, what was going through your mind at the final table and that deal negotiation
Well,
to strike that and close it out
yeah,
after?
the final table I started like fifth of 7 guys. So I usually try to end final tables at least at the same position I start. There was 2 guys short, so it was kind of easy because 2 guys had like 10 and 20 blinds, if I remember correctly, and
Yep.
the rest had like 60 big blind plus. It was a pretty good structure overall. So we had like ton of blinds every level. So I was just waiting for everyone else to bust, but I didn't play a good final table. Um, I wasn't nervous, but I wasn't just in a good day. I wasn't bright at all.
Mm.
So even when I watch the replay, I see hands that I played, and I'm embarrassed the way I played them because we had like 2 big pots against Laszlo Omaha for Rolls, that I think it was the best player on the table. I played basically against him like I was playing cash, and that's obviously a big mistake in a final table.
Mm.
He also played the hand the same way I would do, but I mean, they both made mistakes. But I just from time to time like lost the focus on this final table, so I feel really lucky to have won it. And at the end, I made a deal with Paresh because I knew I wasn't playing well. I wasn't focused. I knew he was a recreational. But heads up, it's not my strongest game at all, and it's something like psychological because I don't feel comfortable playing heads up PLO,
Okay.
even with against someone I consider like a weaker opponent. But I decided just to make a deal and play for the rest. It was like a 10,000 the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it, yeah, basically it was a bad day overall. So I just wanted to end this thing as fast as possible. And even after that, like I've been taking a break because my head it's been like elsewhere.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense in that context, I think. And I mean, you got it done. So amazing stuff in the end there. Um, what made you want to play this 3K event? Obviously, it's a big shot. You're coming back into poker. Are those the sort of size tournaments you're playing, or why did you choose to play this WPT 3000 buy-in?
Well, I feel comfortable playing probably up to 5K. I sell action, some of my action when I play the 5K, more obviously when I play the 10K. I also play the 51K.
Oh wow.
It's yeah, it's obviously it's not my main game, but I
Yeah.
feel pretty comfortable up to 3 5K playing on my own. It's fine. I think the PLO entities has this thing that when the field is probably around 100 or less, it's start to getting difficult. Like you get a lot of high stake MTT, even from Hold'em that plays PLO, and they obviously doesn't play PLO very well, but
Mm.
they play MTT so well that they make like an amazing job. I've seen them, and I really like what they do in PLO tournaments. So when the field is small and the buy-in gets higher, I think my edge gets reduced a lot. But in this case, I knew that if it was 1 million guarantee and it was a 3K, it was going to be at least 300 people playing. So that's the kind of field that I think it's a where I feel at least EV Plus playing it.
Right. That's amazing, dude. I mean, a huge congrats. It's a massive score. Getting the title, it's got to feel great. So I just want to say congrats on the results.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And thanks for taking the time today as well, Alex. Where can people follow along with you? Do you have a Twitter or Instagram or anything that people
Yeah,
can?
I have Twitter. I don't tweet that much. My Twitter is Bully Manzano, but I'm not much into media. I deleted Facebook, and
Okay.
I don't use anything else.
Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna have you back at the podcast at some point to follow up then, and then they can listen in.
Yeah, sure. That's cool.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex.
Okay, man.
Big congrats to Alex, and what an extensive 15, 20 years of playing poker. I mean, I've been playing for 10 years. I feel like that's a long time, but grinding it out and not necessarily always at the top of the game like you might expect for a 3K player. Has been battling it out with small games, figuring it out in the beginning, switching disciplines. I really like that story, and best of luck to Alex going forward. Now let's talk to Brad Owen, the vlogging legend. Such a great conversation with him. I think you guys are going to like it. Without further ado, Brad Owen. Joining me on the podcast today, I have YouTube Poker Royalty. That's what I'm going to go with here, Brad Owen. Thanks for taking the time today. How you doing?
That was pretty great, man. You said you didn't really have much planned for the intro, but I feel like you nailed it with that. That makes me feel good.
That was off the dome. Honestly, I wasn't sure where I was going with that, and then it was boom, YouTube royalty, poker royalty. That's it. You're in Cabo right now. Why are you in Cabo?
Yeah, out here, I mean, let's be honest, there's not really much going on with live poker, and I'm mostly a live cash game player. So, given the current state of things, decided to come out here to Mexico to fire in some WSOP events, working with GG Poker. Andrew is actually upstairs. I think he might be starting a live stream right now. But yeah, we're just firing in tournaments every day, and it's a whole different grind than what I'm used to. And I feel like I'm learning a lot as a poker player and growing a lot as well. It's like cliche as that sounds, but I'm excited for everything.
That's great, man. I'm really curious to hear what your impressions are of the online tournament grind, because from my career, my mix is mostly live cash and tournaments. And I love live cash. I love that mix of like the personality. I felt like I was hanging with my friends, sipping on Diet Cokes and teas, and I'd just go home with extra money at the end of the day. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. The online grind is so different, but I appreciate it for different reasons. So what's your take on the experience?
Well, obviously cash is way, way more consistent, and it's still a lot easier for me to, just be profitable in it overall. I got fired in 100 tournaments and I'm breaking even on those, but I've cashed in like 23% of them. So
Right.
I just haven't like made it. I final tabled one thing, and that wasn't for that much money. So that was kind of frustrating. And so there's been a lot of frustration for sure, where you just invest so much time, and I get so invested emotionally in these tournaments that I just don't in cash games,
Yeah.
So like I got like 133rd in the Millionaire Maker out of like 6,300 people a couple days ago. And the cash was for 7K. It was a $1,500 buy-in. Well, at first is 1.5 million, and second is $1 million. And, even if you final table it, you get like 6 figures. So for me to play 2 full days and to make it through, 6,100 people and just have to get through like 125 more or whatever to make like 6 figures, it's really like soul crushing, where you're just like, fuck, like I'm so close.
Yeah.
And for me, someone who doesn't play a lot of MTTs, I just feel like those moments are so few and far between for me. And like, I don't know when the next run like that will be. Hopefully some other time during this vacation.
Yeah. I know that feeling, dude, because like in cash games, how many sessions is 100K, at expectation?
Right.
That's a lot, right? So
Yeah.
it's the sickness of MTTs.
Yeah, man. But I really love it a lot. I mean, it's a whole different strategy that I've been learning, and just the ranges are so different. And I love how there's different stages in tournaments where you're going to play, you know, like whatever, you play different around the bubble, and with this many big blinds, you're going to do this. And it's all fun stuff to get involved in. And it's so like nuanced, you know?
Yep. Absolutely, man. So I want to get into your early days of poker, and I understand that you had a sibling actually that started playing poker. So I wanted your origin story of how you found the game. What's the deal with the sibling playing poker, and how that all came to be?
Sure, yeah. Well, originally it started all around, you know, the moneymaker time frame. I was I think 14 or something, or 15 when Moneymaker won, and my dad was in the casino industry. He'd win all the casino games. So he took home the CD-ROM game, and you could play anything on there. So I was playing limit hold'em tournaments against simulated opponents.
Right, nice.
And and my brother, he was getting into poker, and like the lipstick cams had just come out. And so it was all over ESPN, and he was having his buddies over for, you know, $1 and $5 like sit and go tournaments, and I would jump in there, and it was just a ton of fun. He would beat me at everything growing up. You know, he's like much bigger and faster and stronger and stuff. He's 4 years older, so I felt like it was the first time we were on a level playing field, and I was actually better than him at something. So like right away, I just kind of loved it, and it integrated a lot of skills that are kind of natural to me, like math and reading people and stuff like that. So yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it, and I was able to beat him at it like pretty early on, and I just fell in love with it after that.
The brother rivalry was the same for me, man. I mean, I wouldn't give it to Matt that he was better at everything than me. I wouldn't say it was exactly the same, but we were competing on a play money leaderboard. So, and that was like my spark to get good. Like, oh, I can see how he's doing. It's interesting how that works.
The first time you and I met was at Live at the Bike. That was, what was that, 3 years ago almost now, I think?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
So Matt wasn't really like well known, but now he's like a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, he was still on the come up. Like, he was playing $50 tournaments, $20 tournaments. He was doing well, but I mean, it's a far cry from the results he's having today. Like, he's crushing it out there. So
and I remember I was excited to meet you because I was familiar with you. Excuse me, but I wasn't too familiar with Matt. But your whole clan, the whole Staples clan was there, and your youngest brother, what's his name?
Matt is the youngest, but I have a middle brother, Chris.
Oh, Chris. Okay, I thought Chris was younger than Matt, but Chris was doing all the video editing stuff for you.
Yeah.
And so we met for the first time, I think, like checking into the hotel, and I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And you're like, oh yeah, this is my brother, Matt. He just got second in this Running Up Reno event. Yeah. And you were like so happy and proud of him and like bragging about him. And I thought that was really cool. And I just thought it was awesome, your whole family dynamics and how like everybody's involved in this like Staples enterprise, and everybody's, you know, good at poker and coming up together. So that was pretty interesting.
That was a wild time, dude. Rebecca was there too. I remember that.
That's right, yeah.
That Live at the Bike week that we played. It was a good, man. It was a good game. I love the game they run out there, Live at the Bike. I really enjoy playing. They've got some good stuff going. Action players in there. I need to get back to LA when the world is in a different place, and we'll play another game for sure, man. So your poker progressed, right? You started playing sort of full time, but you left it before the vlog started. So what happened in your first bout of playing poker full time? How did that go? And then, you know, the falling down. What happened there for you as a poker player?
I pretty much just made all the standard mistakes you can make your first time playing. I was 24, I believe, and thought I was better than I was. I moved to Las Vegas with like 10,000 as a bankroll, and that's not very much. Yeah. So I was playing 2-5, and I was even like jumping into 5-10 sometimes, which is a huge mistake. But luckily I ran pretty well the first 5 months or so, and I was able to make like 3 or 4K a month, and that was a lot of money to me at that time. So that was pretty good. But I had a girlfriend in Southern California, and I just felt very lonely in Vegas. So it made sense for me to move out to Southern California, to LA, and be closer to her. My brother was moving to Southern California at the same time, so we got an apartment together, and I was playing. I had some money saved up. I probably had like a 35K bankroll at this point, and I decided to like just only play 5-10, because the way that the stakes were in LA at that time was there weren't really any normal like 200 big blind deep 2-5 or 3-5 games in the LA area.
Okay.
Maybe the bike had something, but I think that it might have been a 500 cap. I'm not sure. So yeah, my plan was just to play like a $1,500 cap 5-10 game at the Commerce, and I just played bad, ran bad. I was really stressed. Things weren't going well with my girlfriend. My brother wasn't enjoying his job, so there was just like so much negative stuff happening all at once, and it just was like a big negative downward spiral to the point where I just wasn't having fun, and I was, very, very close to just completely broke. I probably had like 4,000 or 5,000 to my name by the end of a couple months out there in LA. So I had to move back in with my parents. Studied for the CPA exams, which is like a chartered accountant in Canada, and passed those. Got my master's degree at UNLV for accounting, and then worked for an accounting firm for a year, and that was like awful, like the most soul-crushing thing ever.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And then went back to poker.
Yeah, dude, that's a crazy story. I mean, a lot of the same pitfall for me, and I feel like a lot of people make those pitfalls, like think you're better than you are, taking shots at big games, for sure. So you go into accounting, work for the Big Four firm. What's your thoughts when you decide to go back into poker? The vlog. How did the vlog happen?
Well, yeah, my parents invested a lot of money into my education. They paid for my undergrad, and then they paid for half of grad school for me. So they kind of had this own plan that they envisioned, and this route that I would take.
Yeah.
And I would be, an accountant, and then be CEO of like some big corporation or something like that at some point.
Right. Yeah.
And when I told them that I wanted to go back to poker, they were like livid, basically. They were, not happy at all. And it was really difficult for me to know that this life that they had envisioned for me wasn't making me happy, and that I wanted to go do something that was gonna just make them like super sad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but ultimately I made the decision, and that was in 2015. And then a year later, I saw Andrew making, his first vlog, and him and I had played together, like not a ton, but like several times where we recognized each other and stuff. And I was shocked that he put out a vlog, because he seemed like the most introverted guy at the table. I mean, you've played with him, and he doesn't really talk a whole lot.
Very chilled out, man.
Yeah. So to see him put himself out there in that way, and to do like such a great job, I was like, this is just the perfect platform for me to get my story out there, for my parents to understand what my life is like, so they know, it's something that takes a lot of skill, and it's something that I take seriously, and I'm not just pissing my life away, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of always wanted to do either like a poker television show or poker movie, but that's not like a realistic thing, considering I have no background in film and no writing skills of any sort.
Right. Yeah.
But YouTube thing takes, all I had was a phone, computer, and I was able to do it.
Yeah, man, that's amazing, and the legitimacy aspect of poker in the world, that speaks to me on a big level, and vlogs like yours really do a lot to help with that. I mean, you seem to really be spurred on by your parents to showcase them, like, hey, I'm not just like wasting your education money, like I'm serious about this, I'm going to do something. For me, I thankfully was past the parents being disappointed, although they were disappointed at the start. They accepted it. But to me, I have such a chip on my shoulder that the world doesn't accept poker in the same way that poker players do, And I think media and content through YouTube, through Twitch is like a way to break that barrier. So Yeah, dude, I love it. Keep fighting the good fight, please, for the game of poker. And if there's anyone listening right now that hasn't tuned in to Brad's vlogs, I mean, they are huge. You're the biggest vlogger on the platform, getting 350,000 views per vlog. You and Andrew are the kings of the space in my eyes, and who I watch when I want to watch a poker vlog. So, you start vlogging, and what's your creative thoughts? And then, like, when does it really start to pop to, like, wow, I can, like, make some money from the vlogging side of this, and I have a significant audience?
Yeah, I guess the whole money thing, that's not like something that I even really considered when I started. There was everything was new territory. So there was no real reason to think that it was going to make a lot of money. And I just kind of wanted to get the story out there and have this part of my life documented, especially as a cash game player. There's no like Hendon Mob or anything, So there was no proof that I even existed in the poker world, which was something that kind of bothered me. Like I invested so much studying and just so much of my time and effort, like trying to get better at poker. I wanted there to be like some proof that I existed in this world if for some reason I had to go back to a different job or something like that,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, as it picked up, I think maybe around like the beginning of the third year or something like that I started vlogging is when it started kind of picking up more, and I was able to actually make some money, because before that it was just maybe I was making like $5 to $10 an hour, working on a vlog with how much effort it took and how few views there were and all that stuff. So yeah, just now it's like a real career, and I focus on that like as much as I play poker. Whereas in the beginning, poker was kind of more of the focus and content was kind of second.
Yeah.
Now it's like real even.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So like you think your time is 50-50 between the two, or your aspirations are 50-50?
So my aspirations, I always want to be the most successful poker player that I can be. Like, I don't really care about being successful as a YouTuber, as long as I'm, making money and it's worth my time putting it in. And it's always great to see like growth too, like if the YouTube channel started to decline, like that would be alarming for me, and I'd be a little bit concerned. But as long as numbers continue to go up, like I don't really think about it too much. Whereas like I would love to win a bracelet, and I would love to win like a big tournament, and I would love to get better at cash games and become a regular in like live 1020, for instance, or something.
Right.
It's just so hard. Like 1020 is such a difficult stake to play. Like everybody, if you're not in the private games in Las Vegas, then it's just like super good pros. Like Lucky Chewy is a regular in that game, and a bunch of other guys who are similar to his skill.
So that's the real barrier is 510 to 1020? Is that like the jump to where you can play whatever game in Vegas if you get there? Or how does it break down for the Vegas ecosystem and cash games?
Yeah, so every property, they have their own max buy-ins and stuff. And so you kind of work your way up through the system of going from like 1-3, where it's like a 500 cap, to a 2-5 game where it's like a 1K cap, into the Bellagio 510 where it's a $1,500 cap, to Aria where it's like a 3K, I believe. And then
that's deep.
And then you can play like the 510 at the Wynn where it's uncapped, and those games get huge at 510, or 1020 where it's uncapped at Bellagio, and it's a lot of the same crowd playing those.
Right. What a world, dude. I remember you were talking about LA in your first attempt, and I remember listening to Bart Hansen on his podcast. It used to be on Deuce's Crack training site, like way back in the day. And I think it was that time, because there was all sorts of weird rules about like caps on buy-ins at levels. Like 2-5 had something weird, and then it was like uncapped higher. Weird. Like what happened?
And a $200 or $300 cap at Commerce for a long time. It was like a 3-5 game.
Yeah.
And then at 2-5-10 games, one of them was a 400 cap, and the other was a 1,500 cap. And so I jumped into the 1,500 cap because that was like the only like normal game, it seemed like, in LA at that time.
Why is it set up like that? Is it
I have
legality or is
no
it just the
clue.
culture?
No, just
Yeah.
the culture. Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with legality
that's
of it.
that's the weirdest thing ever. That's wow. Okay. There's
Yeah,
some coming from an online world where we have like every option at every
right.
stake, like just to have that in a room, it's weird.
Yeah. Where's Matt these days anyway?
Matt is in Canada,
Okay.
and he is doing a lot of the same things. He's on the grind, streaming, party poker team online, and just battling at tournaments. And he's really crushing. He made a deep run in the Party Poker Million, which doesn't exist anymore. But I think he got second or third for 100K in that, and like he's playing some big
Okay.
games now. So
Was that within the last like 2 or 3 weeks or something? I think maybe even less than that. I thought I saw something on Twitter about a big score from him. That
he
was
probably had
over.
another one, dude. Like no one can keep
Okay.
up. They just keep popping off. Like I don't know,
That's
he
awesome.
just keeps winning tournaments, dude. Yeah. So.
Sweet.
Um, so the current state of live poker, obviously, this is probably a pretty big change for you in the COVID world. So, how do you think about the pandemic in relation to poker? How is it going to be different when a lot of people are back to playing poker, and how do you feel about it?
Well, first, I just want to say the U.S. is doing great. We're definitely not like the laughing stock of the entire world right now. No, the whole yeah. So with live poker being shut down, essentially, or well, it was shut down, right? That put a huge roadblock for us doing the meetup games because we were having the YouTube viewers come out and meet us and play with us and stuff, and that was a ton of fun. We were traveling around the country, but we were kind of getting burnt out by that.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have a break from live poker for a while. And then I was like really excited to play live poker. I was really excited for coronavirus to kind of subside, and the Vegas poker rooms opened back up, and I'm a young healthy guy, so I felt okay about playing in Vegas. It wasn't coronavirus didn't hit that hard initially, and even when the casinos opened back up, and then like within a few weeks, it got hit really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I no longer really felt that comfortable playing live. So I kind of like took a break, and then now we're here in Mexico, firing in all the WSOP events. So I'm pretty happy to be out here and just to be away from it and not have to think about that on a day-to-day basis as much.
Do you think we're gonna have any structural parts of the game that change forever? Like, will poker go back to normal, or
That's a good
are
question.
we gonna
Like
have
maybe
masks, or what's gonna happen?
it seems like, dude, I don't know. It's so bad in the US right now where it's like I don't even know when it's going to come back to normal. Like it might be. I was thinking it'd be in a year from now. Andrew thinks it'll be longer than that. So I think the biggest thing is not having a live WSOP because it's so fun to come into Rio and see just like thousands and thousands of poker players and hearing like the shuffling of the chips and just everyone's so excited and they come in from all over the world and all over the states and stuff. And it's a big summer camp feel to it.
Yeah.
So to not have that is playing online is so fun. Like it's so fun to play for bracelets and stuff, but it's just nowhere near the same as it was before.
Absolutely. True. So, I forgot to ask a little bit about the creative side because I'm super interested in this in vlogging. So I'm just gonna go back there. Your vlogs are really interesting because you do like a voiceover audio through the whole thing. I mean, you do a little bit of an intro and then you voice over all the hands and then sort of the wrap up. And I really like that voiceover style. And correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't seem like too many people employ that strategy for their vlogs. So
Right.
how did the creative aspect of like finding filmmaking and deciding to do it, how did it progress and how did you land on your current format?
I've pretty much done the same style like since vlog one. I mean, if you look back at that one, it's like incredibly boring and I had no clue what I was doing at all.
Right.
So, but there is like an intro, there's kind of, some B-roll shots of the casino and there's like 3 minutes of me driving to the casino accompanied by some terrible copyright-free music.
Right.
And then it's me mostly doing like a voiceover of hands that I play and stuff. And originally I was kind of thinking it'd be easy to go through like every single hand that I play, like every single fold that I make and all that of a session. But it became apparent to me very quickly that like no one cares that much about what you're folding, and it's just super boring. If you're like, oh, I pick up, 9-6 offsuit here and under the gun and I fold, like that's super boring. So
yes,
yeah. So I think the second vlog or third vlog or whatever, I condensed it to, just talk about the interesting hands. And for me, it's easier. I'm not really that good off the cuff. So I'm trying to get better at it, and doing podcasts like this helps. But Andrew's so naturally good at talking about hands and going and remembering everything like that, that it works for him, and it works for a lot of other vloggers to film stuff at the casino. But for me, it's so much better for me to have some time to digest the hands that I played and think about, if I did something incorrectly, like if there's something that I should have changed, or just to think about all the details of the hand that I want to convey to the viewer that I might not think of off the cuff if I'm videoing at the casino.
Right.
So
do you plan that? Like, do you script it, or do you kind of make bullet points when you're doing the audio, or what does it look like in post?
Pretty much script like every word. So today I just did the recording of the audio for a script, and it was like 8 pages single space. So it's going to be a long vlog. Usually they're like around 4 or 5 pages single spaced. So it was probably real annoying for my girlfriend who's here, and for Andrew who's upstairs, like listening to me voice over the script and to do multiple takes and all that stuff.
That's a lot of writing, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of writing.
It's a ton of work. I mean, it really is like so much more work when you have to come home and write out the script rather than just doing it like right after the session's over or whatever.
On the fly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered turning some of that script into like book?
Yeah,
action?
I have. I think that'd be cool.
Oh.
Like I don't know exactly, I don't know how many people would be interested in it, but maybe just you're gonna buy the Brad Owen script book.
Of course. 100%. Cool. I want to read the journey, man.
Great. You've inspired me then. I'm gonna do it. You've convinced me.
Sweet. Okay. We can expect it soon, man. Perfect. Yeah. Launch in 3 months. Everyone heard it here first. Here we go. How do your opponents feel when you film them? Do you ever have any issues with that, or navigating within casinos? Some of them are really weird about filming. Like, what's that landscape?
Yeah, in the beginning, like we were sneaking around, and that was kind of a fun, exciting time. We didn't really know how poker room managers were gonna react. We knew it was just a matter of time before, someone said something to us, and in the beginning, they just weren't real accepting of it. Some of them were more accepting than others, but MGM, for instance, had a pretty hard stance against poker vlogging in the beginning, and the win was the same way. And then a few others either didn't know what we were doing, or didn't care, or they did know and they just kind of turned the other way.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the marketing value kind of overtook whatever risks were involved in allowing people to film.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So casinos were trying to figure out ways that we could do it where they felt comfortable. So MGM kind of did, a full 180 basically, where they're like, okay, we see the value in this, and just let us know when you want to film, and we'll put out signs that say like filming in progress.
Right.
And that way we're not on the hook for any liability. And then towards the last, over the last year, we've mainly just been filming at a place where we're doing meetup games. So, we have complete permission and everyone knows ahead of time. And a lot of people are hoping to get on the vlog.
Yeah.
That way, they have some place in poker history and some proof that they were in the game.
Awesome. I like it, man. I'm happy that the card rooms have figured it out and figured out the value, and we can move forward in the poker content world. So we're almost out of time here. I want to ask you about goals. Where do you want to go with the vlog and your poker career over the next, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Where are you going? What are you working towards?
I don't know. I'm just kind of taking it day by day right now, but I do want to get more involved in tournaments. You know, it's been a blast to play the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And to like have like a 6-figure score, like a seven-figure score, I think that my poker career just wouldn't feel complete without some kind of big victory, you know? So I'd like to do that in terms of poker, and I'd like to be taking some more shots in some bigger games for some bigger cash games. As far as vlogging is concerned, I don't know. I haven't really thought about too many goals with that either. Just keep taking it day by day. Like, this is one thing that I talked about to Andrew recently. Actually, like at some point on this trip, I told him my biggest goal when I started was to get to 100,000 subscribers.
Right.
And that was something that I thought would be completely like unachievable. And then it happened. And I think for you, well, definitely for me, and probably for you, and probably for Andrew and people who are in this space, we're just kind of like, we get to a certain level and then we kind of like keep wanting to like push it further. You know, we want things to grow and we want to progress, but like you can get burned out somewhat quickly if that's your mentality. And if you don't just take some time to be content with where you are, you know? So like to have surpassed that 100,000 subscriber goal, you know, I think everything that happens on top of this is just like icing on the cake kind of a thing.
It's a really healthy mindset, dude. I could learn from that myself. We see a lot of poker content creators burn out, so I think your approach is good. And I'm a huge fan of the vlogs. I love everything you're doing in poker. So Brad, thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously, if anyone's watching right now, go check out the vlogs. You're hugely missing out if you haven't seen them. Where else can they keep up with you, man, if they want to follow the story?
Check out my Instagram. That's probably the best place to get daily or weekly updates on what I'm doing, at Brad Owen 1. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, man. Thanks for taking the time. Good luck in your online grind. I'm hoping to see a bink from you soon, dude. And would love to follow up again soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Good luck to you too.
Big thanks to Brad Owen for taking the time this week. What a legend. I love him and Jaime. I mean, they're friends, so I often like group them together, think of them together. They're living in a house together right now. The vlogging duo, dude. I just like what they're doing, even though they have different styles. Big thanks, Brad, for taking the time, man. That was awesome. So let's get into our weekly competition, our hashtag JSPokerHero, where we give away some tickets so some of you listening to the podcast can get into the tournaments and hopefully win it for us, represent us in these feature events, okay? So last week, congratulations to @MeroZeniz and @AlesheroRacha00 for correctly answering that Darren Elias was the most WPT main event wins with 4. You both win a 109 WPT World Online Championship satellite ticket. This week, the question is, what is the minimum guarantee of the WPT mini main starting on Wednesday, August 19th? There will be 2 winners decided at random. Must reply with the hashtag WPTWOC and JSPokerHero. Those 2 hashtags, get your guess in. You're going to win two out of all of you that guess are going to win $109 satellite tickets into that $1,000 event. So, and that 1K mini main is going to be huge, by the way. That one is one of the highlights for me on the schedule because a 1K buy-in for me is like right in my zone. I'm into that. Thank you all so much for checking out the podcast this week. If you're listening on iTunes, if you wouldn't mind, drop a review and rate. Spotify, just do your Spotify thing. You can follow if you want. And YouTube, like, comment, subscribe would be awesome. Thank you all so much for taking the time. But until next week, we'll see you later.